rest of the season? Obviously, you guys have made it clear you're sellers with the moves that you made. The playoffs are essentially an impossibility. So what are you looking to get out of these final 20 games?
A lot of what we saw yesterday: energy, hard work, young players playing a bigger role and getting an opportunity to show what they can do for next year. And just at some point here, there might be a few other young players that get a chance to play and audition, and so we want to finish strong. We want to see a little bit more what we may have going into next season by how players play the rest of the year.
Is that kind of like that momentum? You get a little momentum going into the next year if you.
Yeah, I'm not sure that, on a team basis, I'm not sure you would get momentum because the team next year might be different. But I think there is an opportunity for some of the younger players to gain more experience. For example, I thought Morgan Frost maybe had his best game in a long while last night. It looked like he had fun playing with Tippett. They moved the puck. They had some energy, and so for young players like that to maybe get an opportunity to have a bigger role because Brassard's not here, or young defensemen to play a little bit more because Braun isn't here. Those are the opportunities that are hard to get sometimes in the regular season, and these opportunities are presenting themselves to many players.
I'm sorry. Are you sending any guys down like Frost on paper so they're eligible?
We sent Willman and York down on paper, so those are our first two recalls. Yeah, Tippett and York are third-year pros, and to me, they've paid their dues. So at this point, they'll be with us for the rest of the season.
Chuck, we talked the other day on Sunday about how this has been a difficult season. Is there an element of disappointment today, obviously having to move players and be in a position where you're selling and not buying and contending?
Yeah, definitely. I spoke to Justin Braun for a while today, and Justin gave us 3 great seasons and gave us everything he had every night, and a quality teammate, a quality veteran, and a great pickup for the New York Rangers. And none of us anticipated being where we are now. We thought we'd be a competitive team, and the vets were all excited going into the season. So I don't think any of us anticipated being here. So believe me, it hit home a lot earlier than today. But when you trade a player like a Justin Braun that has been such a great veteran and again a really solid contributor for our team, it certainly puts it in perspective.
Chuck, you said that today went exactly as planned. What were your expectations for the market given the number of buyers and sellers, and how did that meet your expectations?
I think it's sort of what we expected. I wasn't sure on Brassard, to be honest, just because he's been injured a bit. He's been playing well and he's healthy now. So I wasn't sure what to expect there, but I knew there would be interest in Justin Braun. And so I think things sort of went as expected.
You mentioned Scott Laughton. Has he been cleared, and will he make this trip, this 5-game trip? He's
going to make the trip. He's feeling much better. He's skating. He still has to pass this neuropsych test. So, you tend to want the player to be completely asymptomatic and feeling good before you do that. So I anticipate sometime over the next week he'll take that, and if he clears that, then it's just a question of speaking with him and making sure the medical people feel good about him returning. So I would think there's an outside chance he could play before the end of the trip. If not, I would suspect he'd be available for the Toronto game. All going well.
You said yesterday, I think, that before the game, that it's sort of a learning experience when you were making these contacts and so forth with the Giroux process. Will that sort of lay the groundwork for the off season here a little bit? That maybe made some contacts and laid the familiar connection.
Yeah, I hope so. Again, a lot of good conversations, and have a pretty good feel for what teams are looking to do going into the summer. Things will certainly change over the next month or two, but the one thing about the trade deadline, maybe with one or two exceptions, you basically speak with every team in the league, and so you get a good feel for what they're trying to accomplish.
Chuck, you mentioned a couple of minutes ago about the rest of the season, a lot of it being about giving young guys a chance, looking at that. I guess, what's your balance between giving those young guys a chance, but also Mike has talked a lot about the idea of instituting a culture, changing mindsets, things like that, because I guess you could call up a bunch of young guys and just stick them in the lineup, but is that going to be what's going to happen, or is there still a balance of like you guys are trying to do something in terms of trying to, focusing on winning games versus development, I guess?
Well, focusing on winning games. I mean, I can't speak for Mike, but if you play hard and play the right way, you have a good chance to win games, as we saw yesterday. I think one of the bigger, one thing we're going to have to balance is Lehigh Valley, won both games on the weekend. They're trying to fight back to get into the playoff race. They're only a few points out. So, there's opportunity in Lehigh Valley for some young players to play big roles and get an opportunity to help that team. So we're certainly, for right now, this is the 18-2 we have. There might be some college free agents that get signed. And so it could change, but, Laughton and Thompson will be back at some point. So there's a couple veteran players that will come back. And, I think you have to keep that element of competition, keep everybody honest. But, clearly for the players that are currently on our roster, they have a big opportunity to show what they can do.
So you would expect guys like, say, like Frost and York's playing on the top pair right now. Before Braun got traded, Frost is now in the top 6. You expect that to continue as long as they deserve?
Yeah, that'll be up to Mike. I don't know if Frost will stay in the top pair the whole time. Certainly, moving Braun creates an opening on the right side that Cam is ably filling right now. So we'll see. But obviously, I certainly expect Frost and York and Tippett and Konechny and Farabee and all these kids to get a pretty good look here and play bigger roles. And in the case of a guy like Konechny and even Farabee, I know Mike challenged him yesterday that it's their time to take on a little bit more leadership too. And they're guys that they've been here a long time now, especially Konechny, and it's time to not follow and maybe to set the example. And I thought both were outstanding last night, not just because they got 2 assists, but I thought their effort, their energy, just they looked like they were enthusiastic contributors last night. So that bodes well for us.
I know you were real high on Jerry Mayhew earlier in the year, and Mike had been playing on the third line a lot, third and fourth line. But can you talk about the decision to put him on waivers? Sure.
Owen Tippett.
Yeah, but obviously there were other players, fourth liners even. You could have put somebody else on too. Why was Jerry put on? You just didn't think he had a future here? Or?
Well, Jerry's 29 years old. On the right side, we have Konechny, we have Atkinson. We have just picked up Tippett. We have McEwen. We have Bobby Brink coming. We have Wade Allison coming. So, to be honest with you, going forward, we have some young players that we're focused on right now. And we thought this may give, I was pretty confident somebody would claim him. And I thought this might give Jerry an opportunity to stay in the NHL for the rest of the year and hopefully get some meaningful minutes for his career.
Chuck, do you have a decent view of the landscape of maybe what you want to do this summer, or do you feel like you still need to evaluate things over these final 20 or so games to sort of know what you want to do?
Yeah, there's a lot that will happen between now and then, and a lot of meetings, and we'll see how players do. We'll see the health of certain players, but that's what certainly what May, June, and part of July will be about.
Both the picks you got today were in 2023. Was that an intentional thing? I know that draft is generally viewed as one that's supposed to be really good. I just didn't know if that's more or less just kind of the way it played out, or if you were focused on getting picks for that draft.
Yeah, well, that was Brent's preference to get picks in 23, but in both cases, the teams we made those trades with, I don't believe had their picks in 22. I believe that's accurate. I think both Rangers and Edmonton had already traded those picks in 22, but if we had a choice, our preference was 23.
One quick question. This is more logistical because we haven't really brought it up. Ryan Ellis, has there been a decision made on surgery, whether he's officially after the season?
Well, probably he's officially out for the season. Absolutely. And we're still working through some different options. And the plan is still for him to be ready to play at the start of next season. But once things get finalized, we'll be able to officially announce what we do.
But you do believe, Chuck, that he could be ready for opening night if all goes well?
Yeah, all going well. That's what I've been told, and that's what his focus is, and the focus of our medical team.
But you're not sure if you need surgery, or is that?
We're just looking at different options here to to get him healed up.
Thank you.
Thanks, John.
Thanks, Jeff.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Sorry for the wait again.